11 and 11 exclusive. It's been more than a year now since that mass shooting at an Airbnb in Pittsburgh that left 2 teens dead and 11 others wounded. And so far, there have been no arrests. And some of the victims, including the family of Matthew Steffy-Ross, who was killed in the shooting, have filed lawsuits against Airbnb. And tonight, our Rick Earl sits down for an exclusive interview with the attorneys representing Steffy-Ross and his great aunt for the first time since they filed that suit.
I do believe that Matthew's light somehow is going to shine on Airbnb and bring some type of justice.
Bonnie McClain has filed a lawsuit against Airbnb and several other companies and individuals involved in renting or leasing the Airbnb on the north side, where her nephew, 17-year-old Matthew Steffy-Ross, and another teen were shot and killed when gunfire erupted during a party with several hundred people, many of them underage.
He's shown such a light, and he was so kind.
Matthew was about to graduate high school. He worked part-time at a fast food restaurant and was launching his own clothing line. He also served as a youth mentor.
And the kids would listen to him. That's how he ended up being a mentor for them.
McClain says Matthew didn't want to go to the party, but friends convinced him.
They kept pushing him, so he went. But when that bullet hit him, everybody that was supposed to be his friend, they all left him. They left him.
Airbnb cannot hide their head in the sand, and someone needs to hold them accountable.
The lawsuit filed in Allegheny County claims Airbnb and the others failed to ensure the property would be safe and rented only by responsible adults and would not be used for house parties attended by minors.
Really, we have a choice here as a community, right? Do we want to have these unregulated nightclubs that don't have any permits pulled, that have unlimited capacities theoretically, that have no security systems in place? Do we think that that poses a danger to the community? I think the clear answer to that is it does.
Airbnb, in my opinion, not having any safeguards, anybody being able to go on, rent a room, throw a party, nothing to, no safeguards whatsoever, okay? Yeah. In my opinion, they most definitely are responsible.
Airbnb would not comment specifically on the lawsuit, instead referring us to the statement released after the shooting that they removed the guest who reserved the Airbnb and suspended the listing, and said they conduct criminal background checks of all hosts. McClain is also calling on the city of Pittsburgh to take action. After the shooting, Councilman Bobby Wilson introduced legislation that would create a registry of short-term rentals and require annual licenses and inspections. But that was put on hold after the court struck down a similar proposal related to rental properties. Council is now considering options.
That legislation in the city at City Council should have never stalled. Kids died, and kids are traumatized, and Airbnb is still profiting on the trauma and deaths of the lives of children.
And while McClain understands it's a difficult case to solve with multiple shooters and more than 200 rounds fired, she's concerned that it's been more than a year and no arrest and no charges.
A year later, it's time to get a little more refocused on this case, okay? I don't know what it is that the DA needs. I don't know what Mrs. Zappala is, looking for from the police. But it's time to get really refocused on this case, okay? I don't intend to let this turn into a cold case.
In a statement to Channel 11, a Pittsburgh police spokesperson would only say it's an active investigation, and the PBP and the DA's office are utilizing other investigative tools with respect to this.
His smile lit up the darkest night.
To help cope with the grief and tremendous loss, McClain wrote a poem about her nephew called God's Sunbeam.
God reached out and took Matt by the hand and said, "Welcome, my child. You've earned a place in this land."
On the north side, Rick Earl, Channel 11 News.